Hey guys, welcome back to Jay's Fifth Down, a football podcast. I'm your host, Shane Gay, here back with more football news here in the world of the NFL and college football and all these things that we cover on this podcast. But first off, I want to make sure you guys please subscribe, check us out, comment, like, share us. We're all on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your favorite podcasts. Another edition of Jay's Fifth Down. Got much to get to. I'm sure you all heard about Deshaun Watson and his final decision with the suspension and everything like that, and we'll preview Bears and Seahawks, and we'll also that preseason game will be tonight, and we'll also talk about the Big Ten in college football. So a lot to get to, but before we get there, first thing up is Deshaun Watson. Now, if you all haven't known by now, Deshaun Watson has been in some trouble the last couple of years with the NFL for a misconduct with women and the sexual assaults and massage parlor, and he got 24 allegations, and so this has been a process that's kept him out of football. Kept him out the whole 2021 season. Last time he played was 2020, where he led the NFL in passing yards, and since then he forced his way out from the Texans. They traded him and to the Browns, and Browns gave him $230 million guaranteed. And so, but the final decision was made today that Deshaun Watson will be suspended for 11 games for the 2022 season with a $5 million fine. So that word came out today from the NFL. Adam Schefter reported that earlier today. And so we've got that news that Watson will be suspended for 11 games. So he ironically will be returning week 11 versus the Houston Texans. So that in Houston, so that's when he'll be coming back. I saw a lot of people on Twitter. It's funny. I was looking on Twitter, and a lot of people were saying that it was scripted. Like, of course, you guys want him back for the Texas game, right? But you know how the NFL, money and ratings and all that stuff, which could all very well be true. But for what we know right now, Deshaun Watson is not going to be playing football until week 11. So he's out for 11 games. He won't be participating in the activities that are whatsoever until that time. So, and Deshaun Watson today did say he has apologized to all the women involved, and that he keeps mentioning that he's innocent and that he didn't do anything, and it's just becoming an ongoing thing right now. And I think all of us here in the NFL world just want this to be over, including Deshaun himself. But for right now, that decision has been made by the league, so it is final. So that's what's going to happen with Deshaun Watson. But now we got more preseason action coming up this weekend, starting off with the Bears and Seahawks tonight. That's going to be on Thursday Night Football edition, so we get to see a preseason game. You're going to have Chicago Bears and Justin Fields going against the Seahawks, who are going to be led by Drew Lock and Geno Smith. So I'm expecting the same starters from last week, from last week's preseason games to start tonight. You can expect to see Justin Fields out there for no more than a quarter, or maybe less than that, maybe like 20 snaps or something like that. The Chicago Bears, the rest of their starters will be playing as well, barring any injury, of course. And for the Seahawks, they expect to see Drew Lock out there again, starting at quarterback, unless they roll Geno Smith. But from what I'm hearing, it's going to be Drew Lock today. So expect to see that. Really what I'm looking for in this game, and you guys shoot me your ideas in the comments, who you think should be the Seahawks starting quarterback. I'm personally, Seattle, after trading away Russell Wilson, they obviously have to find an answer at the quarterback position, because in this league, there are two things you cannot win without, and that is a good defense, and that is a quarterback. And if you don't have one of those things, you will not win. Plain and simple, you won't win ball games. You need a quarterback and you need a good defense. You need a good quarterback and you need a good defense to win. So the Seahawks, you got Geno Smith, who when he played last year for Wilson, when he stepped in when Russell was out with his thumb injury, he came in and he played pretty well for the most part. Did what they asked him to do. They didn't try to have him do anything extravagant or whatever, but he came in, he did the job, got the job done. And they won a few ball games, but they brought Drew Lock over here with the trade and everything like that, and for Russell Wilson, of course, when they brought Drew Lock over here, it was a big competition. It's still going on training camp. Is Drew Lock going to beat out Geno Smith, or is Geno Smith going to win the job? And here's my thing. I think that if I'm the Seahawks, I'm going to roll with. I'm going to roll with Geno Smith in this. I think Geno knows the system already. He's been in the system. He knows the playbook, and he's he learned from Russell Wilson himself while he was backing him up there in Seattle. So I would roll him out week 1. And then if Geno starts to struggle, you can turn to Drew Lock, who has been impressing at training camp lately. So it's just one of those quarterback situations similar to I'm trying to think of a quarterback situation. I don't know. But mainly the thing is, you have two quarterbacks who could very well start for this team. And you just have to figure out which one is going to impress and which one is going to learn the playbook and know what they got to do. Go out there, do the job, lead the offense, lead the team. And leadership is a quality with quarterbacks that a lot of people overlook. A locker room has to respect. Being a part of the locker room myself, playing football, and everybody out there in all sports can testify to this, that but particularly in the case of football, that the quarterback is the leader of the locker room, and once the quarterback has everybody's trust and they're all, they're cool with him and what he has to say, and if he's a good leader, and they respect him, then your team is in a good place. But when the quarterback does not have those leadership qualities and the team doesn't respect him and they don't buy into what he's trying to do, they don't believe that he's the guy, then it's going to be hard to win over the overall team, and including the coaching staff as well. This guy beside the head coach is the leader of the team. Right next to the head coach, the quarterback is the leader of the team. Everybody's got to trust him, and everybody's got to believe in him, and he's got to show that he is a leader on and off the field. And depending on who between Locke and Smith has those qualities, then that's the guy you got to roll with. In addition to knowing the playbook, in addition to having command of the offense when they're on the field, being able to get the 2-minute drill out and quick, and all those different things involved with that, they've got to be leaders on and off the field. And if you don't have leaders in your quarterback room, then that's a problem, and your team won't win many ball games. So you have to have passers who are going to be able to rally the team, and go out there and lead, whether it's by example or through words. So that's just a thing to keep an eye on. Like, with the Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold situation, where the Panthers just recently said today that they're expecting to start Baker week 1. So he's expected to be the starting quarterback in Carolina. So a little tidbit of news right there for my Panthers fans out there. Baker Mayfield is looking like he's going to be the starting quarterback for the Panthers this upcoming season. Sam Darnold looks like he's going to be the backup. And, of course, that is subject to change, barring how Baker plays, throughout the rest of the preseason, if he does, and how Sam Darnold plays throughout the rest of the preseason, if he does, and going into the regular season as well. So it's just something to keep an eye on, those two teams right there with the quarterback situations. It's been great competition in camp, and this has been something that has been going on throughout a couple of training camps, just quarterback competition, like more, competitive, and had a lot of fights and stuff as well in these training camps. Most recently, the Patriots and the Panthers had a brawl up there in Foxborough at the joint practices. And joint practices are, for anybody that doesn't know, or when two teams, it's like a game, but it's just practices, basically just practicing against another team, so it's not it's basically like, a scrimmage game, basically what you would think a scrimmage game would be, against the other team. You get to look at their starters and against your starters. And for a coach, it's a good thing because you get to see how your offense and your defense and your special teams unit looks up against another team in the NFL. And it's not game action, so it's not going to be full game speed, but it's still, you get, competitive speed, competitive nature, guys going out there and it's hot and hitting and going on, and just trying to win the battle, and go to work. And that's the thing about it. So that's what makes joint practices so fun. However, they can be quite the scene for brawls and fights, as they have been throughout this whole training camp this summer. So NFL Network has been having good coverage of that. So, if you turn on NFL Network tomorrow, you might catch a brawl at a training camp. So. But what I'm looking for from the Bears side of things is hopefully the offensive line can protect Justin Fields a little bit better than they did last week, because they had 3 punts against the Chiefs, and so you wanted to be able to see them move the ball up and down the field a little bit better than they were before when they did last week, and so just. Again, being able to have Fields just sit back in the pocket and make all his reads and decisions and get the ball out quick, and take the running lane when he has it, when he needs it, not every play, because the pocket is breaking down. So I think that's what Matt Eberflus wants to see out of Chicago, the head coach. I think that's what he wants to see out of his team. He wants his defense to continue to get after it and get after the quarterback, and be physical and and make plays all across the field. Look, they're looking forward to, the secondary stepping up this year. Jalen Johnson emerging as a top corner. You still got Eddie Jackson back there at safety, and Kendall Vildor's coming up as well. So you got some guys back there in that Bears secondary that could help attribute and make this team or make this defense formidable like it was a couple years ago. And like it still is. But when they had Khalil Mack rushing the passer, they were a very, very scary defensive unit, and they still are. But lost Akeem Hicks in free agency. Eddie Goldman retired after literally like 2 weeks with the Falcons. I know it's. And that's not a lie. That's a true story, by the way. He retired literally like after 2 weeks. He signed with the Falcons in free agency. Then he went there for 2 weeks, and then he's like, "Nah, I'm done." So he retired. But you lose some good defensive linemen, so it's just a matter of replacing those guys up front and see if they want to get a good pass rush going and be able to continue to stop the run, eat up those blocks. And I think that's what Matt Eberflus wants to see out of his defense. And offensively, again, being able to move the ball with Justin Fields and not having to just sit back and punt, and not being able to convert on third downs, because that's a huge thing, And once that pass rush gets going and the quarterback gets antsy in the pocket, then he wants to take off and run, and that's kind of what hurt Justin Fields a lot last year. So but you guys can catch that game at 8 o'clock Eastern time on ESPN. The Monday Night Football crew will have that game, so it'll feel like a regular season primetime game. So that'll be interesting tonight. Again, Bears Seahawks in Seattle. So that's going to be a good one. And more preseason games will be happening the rest of the weekend, so y'all can catch all those, including a Monday game with the Falcons and the Jets. So just be looking out for those as we get closer and closer to the season. We're almost there. Again, kickoff is going to be September 8th, to the regular season opener with the Rams and the Bills. So that you guys can just be on the lookout for that. And we're coming up closer to that game. But again, Desean Watson suspended for 11 games this year. Bears and Seahawks tonight. Just watching out for those rookies and who else is going to make a big splash in week 2 of the preseason. Now we shift over to college football. The Big Ten just recently signed a 7-year, $7 billion media rights agreement with Fox, CBS. So they got a new TV deal with CBS and Fox, so now they're going to be showcasing Big Ten games on CBS and Fox Sports Network. So that's gonna be interesting to see, especially because normally you're used to the SEC on CBS, but this is a big thing for the Big Ten because now you get to have your games across multiple platforms, multiple streaming platforms, and so now they get more exposure and get more people to try to watch the games, and overall, college football is going to be quite interesting this year, I believe. Y'all can let me know what you think. Do you think is going to be the same 4 teams in the college football playoff as it was before? Could we have somebody else sneak in? Could Ohio State make a run? Could they try to get in? C.J. Stroud's been playing good football, and can they make it in there? Or Clemson, they're still at number 4 at the preseason poll rankings, but are they going to be able to sit atop there, or are they going to drop? There's just a lot of interesting headlines going into this season for college football. Very, very unpredictable and interesting, as it always has been and always will be. And you got a lot of guys who are going to be leaving for the NFL in 2023, like Bryce Young, Will Anderson. So, I expect the playing field to be leveled a little bit more. And we saw that a little bit last year. You saw like Cincinnati was able to make it into the playoffs, and so a lot of other teams are improving and getting better. So, over the next couple of years, college football really, I think, especially once Nick Saban retires, college football will officially kind of be a little bit more open, more than it already was. and you're going to see a lot of different teams come into the mix. Some Big Ten teams may come into the mix. You got Texas and Oklahoma going to the SEC next year, so it's going to be crazy over the next couple of years in college football. So I'm very intrigued to see how it all plays out. But overall, football season is finally here, and we made it. And you guys any more questions or comments or whatever, or any thoughts you want me, you have about the season and Deshaun Watson or anything like that, post it in the comments. We'll check it out here. Again, you guys can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your favorite podcast. Thank you guys for tuning in. Again, make sure you subscribe, check us out. We're over here posting your daily NFL news, football news, whatever you need to know about all things football. Thank you guys.